Two of the things I'm most passionate about is LeBron is overrated as hell and Kobe Bryant is underrated. And those two things to me, as you kind of alluded to, are connected.
All right, guys, thank you so much and welcome. This is Stephan Piscano with the Stephan Piscano Podcast. I had the great privilege and honor to interview Jay Skapnic, the content creator and founder of the YouTube channel Skapattack, which is one of the fastest growing channels in sports media. At the time this episode's going live, he has nearly 100,000 subscribers. He's a sports historian and in a very, very short period of time has really taken the sports media landscape by storm. We got to talk Kobe Bryant, LeBron James for nearly 2 hours. For those of you that are interested more in the entrepreneurial stuff that we normally talk about, you can just skip to about the hour and 20-minute marker because he did, as somebody that's been a viral success with social media, really taken YouTube by storm, like I said. He gave us some tips from an entrepreneurial standpoint on how to grow a YouTube platform that I found extremely valuable, and I think you will too. So I'm going to play that interview in a moment. This is a good segue into some of the Kobe LeBron stuff. But I think part of what that is obviously you're a diehard Kobe Bryant guy, as I mentioned at the top. When I first saw your video, and I've been obsessively a Kobe guy for his entire career and since. And when you grow up like that, it's a very lonely place, right? Because sports media for so long doesn't give that side of the coin, because in my opinion, they make more money to have a current player debated against a retired player. So for them, it's a strategy with LeBron versus Jordan, LeBron. And then you're watching the games, if you're really a sports fan, and you're watching LeBron choke his ass out year after year and just saying, well, what I'm seeing with my eyes doesn't match the coverage that is being reported. It's kind of like the old Rush Limbaugh saying, he used to say, people would say, well, he's telling people what to think. And he would say, well, no, I'm just reflecting what they already think and they can't get it anywhere else. When I saw that first video, you reflected it so perfectly and with the analytical data, it did in such a beautiful way that it not only creates a view, but it creates a passionate follower. And because you are sincere with that, obviously, then it creates this cohesion that I think leads to the growth that you have. Is that just a completely organic process that it evolved that way, or have you retrospectively looked at that at all?
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where it's evolving, and I had really no idea what was capable on YouTube or, how people make money on YouTube or build businesses through it. It's rooted in my passion for the things I'm talking about. Yeah. I don't really make content just to try to, get clicks or views. I basically everything I do, everything I'm working on every day is just something that I'm passionate about, something that I want to talk about or tell a story about. So that's absolutely like at the heart of everything that I do, and I don't think that will ever change. And two of the things I'm most passionate about is LeBron is overrated as hell and Kobe Bryant is underrated. And those two things to me, as you kind of alluded to, are connected. They're intertwined. A lot of people in my fan base or subscribers think of me as an anti-LeBron guy, but it really is more so born out of the fact that I'm a pro Kobe guy. Yeah. So because Kobe came first and Kobe owned that era first. So like really. The ways that I feel about LeBron is just reactionary because of what I know to be true about Kobe Bryant.
Well, and you can feel, just like how you can feel the authenticity and the sincerity of your content, you can feel the media manipulation with LeBron stuff to the point where I wonder, when I'm watching some of this stuff, how many of these people on ESPN and FS1 even really believe it or realize what they're saying, or if they're just being compensated in some capacity or another.
I would think that there's a very small percentage of these media flunkies and stooges out there that are touting LeBron, that really truly believe what they're saying about him. I mean, first and foremost, look, we've seen the rift between Stephen A. Smith. I use Stephen A. Smith kind of as a barometer because he is, the preeminent voice for ESPN, maybe the most powerful, sports entity, the Disney Corporation and ESPN, and Stephen A. Smith is their primary mouthpiece. And, recently we saw over this last season, he kind of got into a fight with LeBron at half court during an actual game because of the way Stephen A. Smith was covering Bronny. And, the ensuing rift that ensued between Stephen A. and LeBron at that point. But for years prior to that, Stephen A. Smith has been just one of these sycophantic, bootlicker LeBron James supporters who have just been, pulling him drastically up the all-time ranks and talking about him, in the same breath as Michael Jordan. I think in a private moment, though, Stephen A. Smith doesn't believe and never believed that, in the first place. I think he probably barely has LeBron on his top 10 fringe, but for whatever reason, he's been mandated from the powers that be within the ESPN mothership that he's just has to talk this guy up and really just to ratchet up, ratings and try to, cultivate viewers is pretty much the way I see it. And I think that is mostly true for most of these people that have been moving LeBron up because Stephan, here's the thing. They've been covering basketball for too long professionally. Like they've seen too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they got flashy thingy from Men in Black and just totally forgot, all of the eras and all of the greats that preceded LeBron. And LeBron just has too many damn blemishes for these people to really actively believe that it's Jordan, LeBron, and then everybody else.
Yeah, and this is the problem when I interview somebody that I'm such a big fan of because my brain's jumping around all over the place here because you keep saying things that get me excited. But I'm just going to go with the most recent thing that popped in my head, which is over the years, because I remember when LeBron went to Miami to form the Big Three, I was so happy about it at the time because I was like, oh, good. He's never going to win another MVP now. He'll never get credit now because that's historically what it would have been for everybody else. And I've been shocked throughout his career for 23 years now, how the media covers for him time and time again to where, and even he said in an interview that first season in Miami, he said, yeah, I think when we all joined up, MVPs were done for all of us and it's about a bigger goal. And then he wins 2 MVPs. Now with the Luka stuff, you see Luka go from a universal top 2-3 player to a fringe top 7, top 8 player by the media. It's just shocking to me that 23 years in, how they cover for this guy. And I can't think of any other reason than financial motivation, like you just said.
It has to be. I think it honestly is like LeBron came along in a perfect time for him because, Michael Jordan, I think of Michael Jordan because, I'm a child of the 80s and I grew up in the 90s. So I think of Michael Jordan's career as ending in 1998. But of course, he went to the Wizards for 2 years. I believe his second year was 2002, 2003. Was Jordan's official last year in the NBA. The next year is the year that LeBron James came in. Yep. So the NBA was, soul searching at that point, trying to find the next torchbearer that was going to pick up for Michael Jordan. And of course, you and I, being Kobe guys, were like, well, they don't have to look too far because they've got Kobe Bryant in the NBA right now. Like, what are we even talking about? But for whatever reason, Kobe had some right around that same period of time. Yep. Kobe had the off-court, transgressions in Eagle County, Colorado. In addition to, at that point in time, they went through the playoffs that year. They lost to the Pistons.
Shaq stuff, yeah.
And then he forces Shaq. Allegedly forced Shaq and Phil Jackson out. So then Kobe becomes this pariah of this selfish, shot-chucking ball hog who would rather, score points than win championships. So all of that coupled with the off-court stuff, all going on at the same time that Michael Jordan was exiting the NBA, and then this chosen one, LeBron James, that one of the most heralded blue chip recruits we'd ever seen coming out of high school, just aligned perfectly with that time frame. And the NBA and all of the NBA's media just kind of married themselves to him at that point. And it's just been, I guess, self-preservation all these years that their viewership to some degree is tied intrinsically to him. So they have to do everything they can to uplift, protect him. And of course, we see how that's gone for the NBA. Bad move because they're at nearly unprecedented low points in popularity and viewership.
And and this was what I was gonna say when I was originally, and then you got me excited about all this other stuff. But that's the thing that is heartwarming to me is first I see your videos and I go, oh, wow, well, somebody else exists that thinks this way. But not only, I mean, then I see all the people in your network, hundreds and thousands of people that realize this. And that's heartwarming to see that people see the same stuff that we see. And it actually feels like, and I don't know if it's just the YouTube universe I'm living in, but it feels like the majority of people realize this whole thing is a sham, you know?
A lot of people do, and a lot of people. I don't want to age it or put certain parameters on it based on when you were born. But I feel like my audience skews a little bit older. Like people, I think you and I are about the same age. People, I'd say maybe like 35 to 50 are like the real demographic. I think that they've just grown, they've just seen it throughout their lives. Like we've grown up watching it and we realize it easier. To
Yeah.
me, the most rewarding thing is when I get younger kids on my channel or in the comments that are like, yo, Scap, I'm only 22 and, you've opened my eyes. Yeah, I think LeBron's overrated now. I got Kobe over LeBron now. So I get quite a bit of feedback like that. So that's really what warms my old heart at this point.
Scap, I was going to tell you because now, so I was born in '83. I think we're about the same age, like you said. I don't know how old is not,
I was also born in '83. So.
Okay, well, so we're not old, brother. We're in our prime. We're in our prime. I'm telling you. Anyway, oh man. So let me ask you this. So it's been tied to, like you said, and I love the way you put it, to people like Stephen A., people like ESPN, even Skip Bayless, who I was a big fan of until he kind of went weird the last few years here. Their revenue was tied in one way or another to LeBron. What do you think happens now that he really is at the end and you're starting to feel some of this shift with the Lakers supporting Luka over LeBron and catering to Luka instead of LeBron? Where do you think this goes? Do you think that they stick to their guns, or do you think that there is kind of a hard ending for him here?
Yeah, I think the NBA is in a tough place. They basically painted themselves into the corner because they've tied themselves to LeBron and stuck with him so rigidly throughout the years that now it's going to be a very difficult pivot point for them. They have a lot of great young stars right now in the NBA. Had they started marketing them more and building them more, a couple years ago, they would be in a much better point for transition now. But now I think they've just lost their way. So I think they're probably going to bottom out even more. I know it's hard to imagine because they're already at a pretty big low point here. Essentially, starting at the 2020 finals, if you want to call it that, the COVID, affected season, that the last one that LeBron won, that is still now the lowest rated finals in NBA finals.
I did not know that. Okay, that makes sense.
I believe the average viewer share per game was like 7 million viewers, which is just insanely low. If you go back to, I know this is an outlier one too, but the 98 Last Dance Jordan Bulls one, like that was pulling in, upper 20, like 26, 27 million, and it peaked at like 35 million in one game there in that series. So, and LeBron and the Lakers were pulling sub 7 mil per game in 2020. And it's been bad ever since. The last like 4 or 5, not as bad as that, but it really hasn't recovered. And I feel like the finals are essentially a microcosm for the popularity of your sport. Like that is the pinnacle of the season. Like that should be the most watched moment of the year, is those finals games. And when you look at how poor they are, comparatively speaking, from a historical standpoint, it obviously does not speak very favorably to what LeBron James has yielded for the NBA. And I think it's actually going to probably get worse when he leaves, because they're going to just be at this crisis point where they haven't prepared anybody, and none of the viewers are prepared with this next wave, because they just stuck so rigidly to not just LeBron, primarily him, but even like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. Like those are still, look at the Christmas games we have, Stephen, for next year. Like it's still all built around LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. Like we need to start thinking beyond that. Like Nicole,
they haven't even pushed Giannis.
I hear you. I hear you. And it was basically like 2019 when Giannis became, I think Giannis won back-to-back league MVPs and a defensive player of the year
Yep.
during that 2019-2020 season. Then, of course, the emergence of Nikola Jokic came like immediately after that. And neither of those guys seem to tickle the fancy of the NBA's marketing machine. So I just don't know what has to happen to open these guys' eyes, but it's going to take these older statesmen, probably their retirements, for the NBA finally to begrudgingly move on.
Well, and I've got two things I want to hit on because you touched on something I've thought a lot about privately, and I wanted to ask you about, going back to 03, 04, LeBron comes in the league, Jordan retired the year before. I mean, the timing could not have been worse for Kobe for the reasons you alluded to, the Shaq stuff, the Colorado stuff. And it felt like they had no choice, like you said, to hitch their wagon to this guy. And then everything that's happened since then has been about backing up the opinion. I mean, I remember, and you might be one of the only other people on the face of the earth that might remember this, but when the Heat went to the finals, the first year when they ultimately got destroyed by the Mavericks, but when they beat the Bulls in the conference finals, I went to ESPN.com, and I remember there was an article on the front page that said LeBron reaches his place as the greatest of all time. And he still had no championships at that point. So they were saying this, before he had won any championships. And then it's just been about backing up that narrative and that argument. Okay, so here's my question. If what they did with that strategy, if it's disgusting to basketball purists and people that really care about the validity of the sport, but it made them billions upon billions of dollars, this is probably the most pro-LeBron thing I've ever said, but was that smart? Because as a business guy, I can understand, like, okay, this is our marketing strategy. This makes sense. Let's do it. And who cares if there's 20% of the fans that see it and are upset by it? We're still making money.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA has always been a star-driven league, and it absolutely. LeBron, look, whether you love him or you hate him, he obviously he is a very divisive figure. So there pretty much is no in between. You either love or hate LeBron James, but he does engender viewership and even just not just for the games, but for ESPN, like for all of their talking head shows, their debate shows and stuff. I mean, LeBron and the Lakers, or LeBron and the Cavs, or whatever team he's on, essentially, is always, top-notch debate fodder. So it's typically always leading the shows off. So I don't think you can begrudge the marketing machine for making the decisions that they did. And it probably did, even though the NBA is cratering out now, like I said, in its popularity, which they are,
yeah,
and the viewership. But yet they're still signing mega deals.
That's what I mean.
They just signed like a $77 billion deal or something like that for 11. It's like 11 billion annually or something, 9 or 11 billion annually with NBC, Disney, and Amazon, I believe. So to your point, I guess from a marketing and from a dollar and cents standpoint, it was the right thing to do. Unfortunately, it also put a lot of pressure on LeBron James, I think. Pressure that he kind of helps to bring more upon himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's destroyed his legacy to some degree, at least for people that are really paying attention.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess this is my nice LeBron portion of the podcast because, I almost feel bad for him. And this is the question I've really wanted to ask you because I'm just curious if anyone else on the face of the earth remembers this. But there was a period in that time where, inside the NBA had Kobe on as a guest. And I remember they asked him, who are the top 5 best players and who are the top 5 best teams in the NBA? And the tone of that interview, and I wish I could pull it up. Maybe I'll try to find it and put a clip in here. But the tone of the interview was like they were scolding Kobe. I remember he included himself in the top 5, and they said, well, we congratulate you for putting yourself at 5th and not putting you at number 1. That's humble of you. And he was like, well, I didn't put it in order. I just telling you these are the top. And then they had LeBron on like a week or two later for the same interview. And they asked him the same questions. And LeBron said, hey, if I see Kobe on the wing, I'm going to pass it to him. And this was like his first or second season. And I remember thinking, LeBron even realizes Kobe's better than him. And I almost feel like he was forced into this situation where he had to create this false narrative by the big wigs at ESPN or whoever to present himself in this way. It almost makes me feel bad for the guy. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, LeBron, I think I saw him play in high school. I saw Kobe play in high school, and you could see the differential. I mean, you could see Kobe Bryant was an alpha on the court. You could just see his tenacity, his desire to just break down people, whoever was in front of him, even if it was three or four players. LeBron had this just passive mentality, even when he was playing against substantially undermatched players from a physical standpoint on a high school level. Like, he still just had more of like a pass first mentality, even at that level, back when he was 18, 17, 18 years old. And I don't think it never truly changed. Like, LeBron, he doesn't have the alpha mindset. It's why he continues to roam around the NBA and try to join other, alpha caliber players. And it's why he doesn't mind, deferring or saying, even, I guess, even if just early in his career, that he would defer to someone like Kobe Bryant. I think often of when they were all on the same team, the '08 Redeem team. And they did do a good documentary piece on it about how in awe all of those guys were of Kobe Bryant at the time, and they were all established stars by that point in time. LeBron James was just on the cusp of winning some MVPs, and Kobe came in and basically all of them, even LeBron admittedly was like, this guy's just different from us. So I mean, LeBron could admit it at least at an early stage. Now, of course, his brain has been warped and he just thinks he's the greatest.
Yeah, and that's why I have no sympathy for him now, because the last 10, 15 years he's bought all in, and hey, I mean, why wouldn't he? He's worth $1 billion for doing it, and if you got to get, honestly, if somebody gave me $1 billion to act like a fraud, I would do it too, honestly. So I mean, whatever, but I mean, it's infuriating for those who care about basketball, but. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'll get into the modern day stuff I wanted to ask you about, because this is one thing that I have to give you pure credit for. The thing that you have converted me on, that everybody in your fan base really knows, is you're a diehard Jokic guy, and I was not. And then when I heard you talking so positively about him, I thought, well, maybe I ought to rethink this thing, and I started paying more attention. Now, you've got me on the bandwagon. I would pick Giannis over Jokic, but I respect him now 200% more than I did before watching your channel. But talk to me about your favorite players that are playing right now and why you have attached yourself to them.
Yeah, I mean, you just named them. Like, I think I think very little of a lot of the modern current players. Two of the ones, though, that I really do have a lot of respect and admiration for is Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic. And I wasn't a big Jokic guy either initially. The first two MVPs he won, he was flaming out in the playoffs, but he also was missing either his best player or his next best two players in those playoff runs. So, but still at the time I was like, well, okay, wins these two MVPs and he's losing in the first and second round. Like, this is another LeBron situation we have going on here. But when I really dialed in myself and started paying attention to what was happening, the supporting cast that he had there, it just kind of became reminiscent to me of at the time when he won me over, of Giannis, what he did a couple years earlier. And the reason why I kind of lumped them both in the same kind of deal, and I think of them both very highly, is because these are two guys both now a decade plus in the league. They were drafted really to untenable situations in terms of like the franchise, not great, well-known franchises, not big, very, very rich franchises. They're, two small markets in Milwaukee and Denver. And these two guys just go about their work. They never demand, more help. They don't throw their teammates under the bus ever. They don't beg for trades. They don't leave, they don't stab their franchises in the back and go and team up with some top 5 player. These are the two best players that the NBA, that the world has had for probably about 5 or 6 years now. Since 2019, I would say these are the two best players on earth. Yeah. And yet they just still stay in these small markets with underwhelming amounts of supporting cast. They never complain, and they both have won championships. Like, they actually delivered. This would be akin to if LeBron didn't leave Cleveland to go to Miami, or at least if LeBron actually delivered a title to Cleveland before leaving in his first 7 years. So these two guys, to me, I put these guys at a higher tier for my money than even LeBron James. To me, these are the two best players since Kobe Bryant retired, in my estimation.
Without a doubt, I agree 100%. And honestly, for me, Giannis basically is a better defending, better rebounding LeBron James. If you didn't have the weird hype, like, that's him, which is a great player. That's why, again, I feel bad in a way that the media has put us in this position where they've got LeBron falsely propped up so high, because it'd be nice to give him credit for being an all-time great player like Giannis or like Karl Malone. But, it's just not that. It makes me think, too, how much luck and timing plays into how your legacy is perceived, right? Because to me, Giannis has got to be one of the most unlucky, and Jokic too, with Jamal Murray getting injured every other year and all this stuff. But man, I think what is it, like 3-4 years in a row, either he himself has been injured at playoff time or his second or third best player's injured. I mean,
both, both players. Giannis missed the entirety of. They obviously lost in 7 in the first round when he didn't play. I don't know. They were calling it a calf strain, but I think he had some Achilles tendonitis or something going on. And then he hurt his back in the first game. I guess it was 4 years ago, and he missed the first really 3 games, and that's what the year they lost to Miami. Then Damian Lillard was hurt when he finally gets a top-notch star, and Damian Lillard gets hurt then. And the same, like you said, same can be true with Nikola Jokic. Starting in his first league MVP year, it's been 5 seasons now from age 25 to 30 for Nikola Jokic. And Jamal Murray missed 2 full postseasons in that 5-year run. So his second best player missed altogether 2 full runs. And then Michael Porter Jr. missed one of those runs as well. So his top 2 options other than himself. Then Murray, of course, wasn't, close to being healthy last season. And then this year, Aaron Gordon got hurt. Russell Westbrook was playing with a broken hand, we now find out. So it just seems like those two guys just can't catch a break with the health either to themselves or their supporting cast. And they don't have a great supporting cast to begin with.
I was just going to say, yeah.
And yet, again, no complaints, and they still both have a title, which is why I just think, you could easily excuse away both of them not having any championships at this stage of their career. Specifically Jokic, who has never played with an all-star yet in 10 full years. He's the only player ever that can say that he is, for the first 10 years of his career, he has not played with a single All-Star, All-NBA caliber player, or All-NBA defensive caliber selected player. He's the only player ever for 10 years of his career to not play with those guys. You could easily excuse away him when you, again, factor in the injuries as well, and yet he still found a way to win one. Again, this is just why I think so highly of him.
Well, and I know that's what you're kind of known for being an anti-Jamal Murray guy, just a little bit, right? Just a touch.
Yes, I do not think that highly of Jamal Murray. I think the problem is really, Stephan, the fact that he's so overpaid. I mean, he is making, I think he's going to make 55 plus million into 58 million over the next 4 seasons. And he misses 20 to 30 games a year every year. He shows up kind of out of shape to start the season, plays himself in to shape, but then typically carries some kind of an injury concern into the postseason. And then he's, hot and cold in the playoffs. So I just think Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray would be a great third option on a championship team. I don't really view him as a strong second tier player for a dynastic type team, which what we're talking about here is Nikola Jokic needs to win more than one championship to be considered top 10 all time. So yeah, I'm pretty hard on Jamal Murray. I'll give you that.
I mean, and you've kind of converted me a little bit on that too, because you look at his consistency and his numbers, and it's underwhelming. I will tell you though, the only pro thing Jamal Murray, I'll say, that series that he had, I guess it was in the bubble against Donovan Mitchell, where they were both throwing back and forth 35, 40-point games. That was something else. But it's bizarre that you can't count on him for that. He has this incredibly high, and then these shockingly low lows.
And he does have great moments. He's had, in the whole 2023 run, he was fantastic. And of course, what happened in the 2023 year was the Nuggets easily won a championship. That's my problem with Murray. Like if he just played up to his potential more frequently in the playoffs, they would win more. And some of that obviously is tied to his health issues, which again I think is somewhat tied to his lack of conditioning and work that he's putting in the offseason. But I mean, there's no doubt the guy has a high ceiling. But the question really is, like you alluded to, is consistency. And sometimes, consistency is better. Like if he would just be consistently good, it would be better than his, great highs, but then his terrible low points.
Yeah, and it's bad. When it's bad for him. It really is. Well, are you, as a fan of both then, were you happy that Giannis decided to stay in Milwaukee? And I've seen your videos. You're semi-happy with the Nuggets offseason this year, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I really strive. One of the things I pride myself in being is consistent. And I strive. One of the things I never want to come off as in life, but definitely on my channel or me as a personality, is being any kind of a hypocrite. So a lot of people, they're not nuanced enough to understand the context of what I'm talking about. I go into great detail in trying to outline it and define why I feel the way I feel. But I have been wanting Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo to get away from these franchises for a couple years now.
Yeah.
But then all of the LeBron stan boys will come back at me. Well, Scap, this is just so utterly inconsistent of you. What a hypocrite. Like, you crush LeBron all the time for the stuff that he did, and now you're championing Giannis and Jokic leaving. But it's not the same, and there are levels to this. Like, I don't begrudge LeBron for leaving Cleveland after 7 years. But it's just the decisions he made, the place that he went, the tactics that he took when he left is what I have a problem with. If LeBron wanted to go somewhere, not like another top 3 players team like he did with Dwayne Wade, or go to the West or something like that, maybe get one other guy with him, I would have been totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, and I don't want to cut you off, but that's the thing. It's not so much the tactic. To me, it's the reaction to the tactic. Because, people forget, for those, I guess, that don't, I feel like everybody knows this stuff, but maybe not. Dwayne Wade averaged 30 the season before he joined LeBron. Chris Bosh averaged 24 and 11, right? Mm-hmm. So, any other player that does that, they can win titles. It'd be like Kevin Durant with the Warriors. So like, okay, yeah, you got 2 titles, but we're not really giving you full credit. And it's just so bizarre to me that Kobe plays with one all-time great teammate his entire 20-year career, and those 3 rings just don't count at all to some people. LeBron's had that for all 4 of his rings.
It's absolutely crazy. And just to really put a bow on the Jokic thing, I did a breakdown of what Dwayne Wade did the year prior to LeBron and him teaming up. Like, what was his MVP finish? What was his advanced analytics, the player efficiency rating, box plus minus, value over replacement, win share. The most accurate comp in today's year, like around the 2024 season, the most accurate comp to Dwayne Wade would have been Luka Doncic that year.
Wow.
So it basically would have been if Nikola Jokic went to Luka Doncic's team and then they recruited Anthony Davis, basically, would have been the comp for Chris Bosh. Like, that is essentially what, if Nikola Jokic did exactly apples to apples what LeBron did, that's what it would be. And that's not what I was asking. That's not, when I say I want Jokic to get the hell out of Denver, it's not, I'm not trying to get him.
Maybe like an all defensive player or maybe an all-star fringe guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to your Kobe point, though, real quick. Yes, absolutely, unequivocally. Like, Kobe has played with 2 top 75 players in his entire career. Just 2. Shaquille O'Neal for the first 8 years of his career, and then Steve Nash, when Steve Nash was 38 years old.
I forgot about Steve Nash, yeah.
Right, but he only played 50 games that year because he was so injured at that point. And that was the year Kobe ruptured his Achilles, so they didn't even get a playoff run together. So that is literally it. that Kobe played with for his entire career. It seems like LeBron has top 50 to 75 players, on every team since he was 26 years old.
Every single
He
season.
always needs more, Stephan. He
Yeah.
needs more because if he's not winning, it doesn't matter if he has a top 3, 5 player on his team or whatever. Like he needs more. It's not enough. If the great LeBron is incapable of winning with the pieces he has around him, it's not his fault. It's got to be the supporting players and the front office for not putting the right players around him, of course.
Yeah. And honestly, Jay, if I had the editing talent and any knowledge of YouTube whatsoever like you do, I would do it myself, but I'd rather you do it and, no pressure. But I'd love to see a video where we take the clips of what the same people said at the time of the Luka trade and then show the recent clips of what they're saying now, 5, 6 months later, because it's just disgusting how many excuses this guy needs. And I mean, like just the Lakers in the playoffs this last season. How many people on FS1 and ESPN, Lakers in 5 and all that crap, picked them to win the championship or at least get to the conference finals. And then when they get smoked in the first round, I hear people saying LeBron's the best player on the team. And it's not his fault. It's Luka's fat and, they don't have a center and all that. Well, where was that intel when you picked them?
Yeah, it seems like it is literally every year. I tell this story often. It's just so funny to me. Chris Carter, Hall of Fame wide receiver, most known for his time spent with the Minnesota Vikings, but he started his career off in Philadelphia, and he had some off-field transgressions early on in his career. Was mixed up with some negative elements, and almost derailed his entire career. So they have rookie symposiums every year for the incoming, first year players into the NFL. And they have various veterans come in and talk about their experience and, things to avoid or, how to target success. And they had Chris Carter on and, presumptively he was just going to talk about how, he made mistakes early on and how to avoid it. And he dead serious. Like it was not a joke. He said, you have to have yourself a fall guy. Like you have to have yourself a fall guy in your group.
I forgot about that. But yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of LeBron. You've got to have yourself a scapegoat or a fall guy if you're LeBron. Like, and it's typically, unfortunately for them, the best player on the team other than him, or maybe even better than him. Like I think AD has been better than him for the last couple of years, and Luka obviously is. But of course, those are the primary fall guys. It can't be LeBron ever.
Well, and even the guys and gals that support LeBron James acknowledge this stuff. They just don't acknowledge the reason. Like I know Shannon Sharpe, I was a big Undisputed fan before they started sexually assaulting everybody, I guess. But anyway, but I remember even Shannon Sharpe, who's one of the ultimate LeBron guys. I can't remember who the shooter was, but they traded for one of these top shooters, and he said, yeah, the lights get bright when they're playing with LeBron. They don't shoot as well. It was Malik Beasley. That's who it was. Malik Beasley. And he's like, yeah, and they're trashing Malik Beasley, who had a killer season this last year with the Pistons. And I'm like, well, all I've heard this guy's whole career is he makes his teammates better because he's so unselfish. Who are the teammates that he makes better? Because everybody I see play with him, their legacy gets destroyed. Anthony Davis goes from a top 5 player to street clothes. Dwayne Wade goes from a top 3 player to washed up and injury riddled. Chris Bosh is Bosh Spice. I mean, who does he make better?
Let me layer this one in on you too. Kevin Love. I talk about this name a lot too. I just want to give him a shout out. That guy was top 3 the year before he teamed up with Kyrie and LeBron in Cleveland. He was top 3 in PER, BPM, value over replacement, and win share. Top 3 in all of those metrics. And he was second second team All NBA that year. Second only because he's a forward by designation. And Kevin Durant and LeBron James were first team forwards that year. Otherwise, and those were the guys that were in those top 3 and those 4 advanced metrics I just mentioned. So Kevin Love was pretty much a fringe top 5 to 6 player himself that year prior to going to team up in Cleveland and destroyed him too.
I don't want to cut. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but you've hit another pressure point for me there. So your boy here made a video, which I don't do very often on sports. It got a whopping 21 views, but I did the screen. He was ranked on ESPN rank best players, the fourth best player in the NBA that year. You can be my 22nd view. Go check it out.
I will do that, and I got to echo your message on that too. That's like I said, top 5 to 6 player, and then all of a sudden he's a bum all of a sudden in Cleveland when he goes to team up with LeBron.
It's sickening. I do feel like, and I don't know. I mean, I've heard you say on your channel that you're kind of a pessimist. I mean, with this stuff, and I don't know if I am or not, but I've seen LeBron shift. Like I said earlier, when he went to Miami, and I'm like, oh, good, we got him now. He can't get his way out of this. I've seen him shift the narrative so many times. Like I always expect that's what's going to happen. It feels like he's walking into a unique situation he hasn't been in before his entire life, really, because he's been catered to even as a child and a teenager and so on, to where he's not going to be the star of stars. And I'll throw this at you. Knowing him being kind of a narcissist the way he appears to be, I would assume he wants a great farewell tour. Where is he going to get that farewell tour? Because it's not going to be with the Lakers, not how he wants it.
LeBron has been put in a very difficult situation by the Luka trade. So, and that's the thing where I was kind of excited when the trade was made because I foresaw this end game coming where LeBron has structured everything to be in LA and to finish his career in LA.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, the franchise has decided to move on from him. They were presented with an opportunity to get Luka and they took it. And then with the sale of the team now, Mark Walter comes in as the owner and he just doesn't have any positive feelings for LeBron at this point. I think in a perfect world, I think LeBron would have declined the player option. In terms of the Lakers, he would have declined the player option this summer and just left the franchise now and let them start building towards Luka. But you absolutely hit the nail on the head. LeBron is going to want some kind of a grandiose tour that's just about him. And it's the Lakers. Not only is it about Luka, but they want it to be about winning. They don't want this disruption of these nightly LeBron antic tours for the next 2 years now, or at least for the entire next season. Like they want to move on and try to capitalize around Luka Doncic and start winning and competing for championships. So I think LeBron, the writing is on the wall. LeBron is not going to retire at the end of this season. And I think he is not going to be a Laker next season. I think that much is obvious. So now the question shifts to, like you said, where? And I honestly, I don't have the crystal ball to see it. I have to be honest with you. He's either going to go to some, subpar team that he can just be the quote best player, jack up 20 shots a night, go to, these different arenas every night and have it be all about him. Or he's going to want to go try to compete for a championship. But none of these contenders that he has been linked to, such as like maybe a return to Cleveland or Dallas, they don't have the cap structure to fit him in. Yeah. So he's gonna have to take the vet minimum or the mid-level exception. Can you see a world where LeBron goes from making $55 million this year to like 3 or 4 next season? I don't see that.
No. And that goes back to the ego. And again, I feel like this is kind of, maybe other people would laugh at me saying that, but I feel like I'm being pro LeBron a little bit here because I feel bad for him because you can just feel how weak he is, right? Like mentally weak. Infuriates me that every freaking time that LeBron and his contract gets brought up, going back 5-10 years now, they bring up Kobe signing what wasn't a max deal. You know where I'm going with it. When he tore his Achilles and the Lakers offered him, I think it was 2 years for $48 million, which is today what a role player would get. But and they said, well, yeah, Kobe taking all that money. That's why the team, Kobe would have played for whatever made sense, I believe. LeBron can't do that because his ego won't allow him to take 10, 12 million when somebody else is making 40 or 50.
Exactly. And the thing with the Lakers, a lot of people talk about how lucky Kobe Bryant was to be a Laker. I actually don't see it that way. I think it was a detriment to him and to his overall legacy.
Agreed.
I think they actively kind of sabotaged his career in multiple different stages, and one of which being the roster they surrounded him with. and the coach that they picked with Mike D'Antoni, for the twilight years of Kobe's career, like the Lakers essentially admitted, like, we don't have the roster to compete at all. So we might as well just give Kobe the money and let him just draw in, sell tickets for us, like keep us,
Yeah.
somewhat newsworthy because of just his presence. If they were actually trying to build a championship caliber team around him at that point, he would have taken less, to your point.
So if you had to, for your gut, what do you see LeBron doing then? I mean, obviously Cleveland makes the most sense, but Dan Gilbert's no fan. He doesn't want to help him roll it out.
I mean, like I said, Cleveland is arguably the best team in the Eastern Conference at this point. Boston has gutted their team, and they are going to be without Tatum for the entire year with the Achilles, and then who knows how he comes back thereafter. The Knicks are going to be there. The Pacers, who the representative of the East last year, like, they're without Halliburton now for the whole year because he ruptured his Achilles. So, I mean, you can make a really real case here that the Cleveland they won 60, I think 64 games, second to only Oklahoma City this past season. So probably for the next year or two, they have this window and they have a roster that's already pretty loaded and stacked up. Like, I just don't think they have room for LeBron James. I think what makes the most sense would be Dallas, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can mentor another very, heralded blue chip caliber guy in Cooper Flag, and he can reteam with Kyrie and AD. He's got Jason Kidd there, who Kidd was an assistant coach, I believe, on the 2020 bubble Laker championship team. So that Dallas makes the most sense to me. It can't happen this year unless it's a buyout, and I don't think the Lakers are going to do that. So it would have to be next season in free agency. But again, like, looking at the structure of the book, and their contracts, it's going to be some kind of a vet minimum for LeBron. So like he really has to dig deep and search his soul. I honestly, Stephan, have a gun to my head, I think his ego will be too big. I think he's probably going to end up in some lower tier team where he can just go and be the marquee show pony and just go about his little retirement tour and maybe take Bronny along with him.
I forgot about Bronny. Yeah. You know what my biggest fear with it is, Skev, honestly, is that, and honestly, this is what I hope I'm wrong. This is what I think is probably going to happen is he's going to survey the landscape, like you said, find out there's not a perfect fit. And he's just going to continue to hold the Lakers hostage, maybe take 25, 30 million, 40, something like that. Cause that's probably where he'll still get the most money. Unless, like you said, the new ownership has some balls and they decide to stop playing this game with him that Jeannie Buss has been playing. And I think he's just going to continue to suck them dry, and then have the media say what a great guy he is for only taking 37 million or whatever it is. I hope I'm wrong.
It will be interesting. Luka, because remember, Luka signed it's technically a 3-year, I think 165 million contract, but he's got a player option in year 3. So they're still working to kind of appease him and sell him on them. They have 2 guaranteed years to do it. So if LeBron is still, piggybacking around and kind of bringing them down and his opportunities at competing, I mean, that's a delicate tightrope that the Lakers are going to have to walk.
Yeah. Well, Jay, thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor. And for anybody listening to this, if you somehow are listening to this and you're subscribed to me, but you're somehow not subscribed to him, if you want to hear from a great guy that's a sports historian that has a lot of takes, and also you're going to be doing NFL, I know, this season more prominently, go check out Skapattack. But thank you, my friend. Really enjoyed it.
Stephan, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to, furthering the relationship, and definitely it was an honor to talk to you tonight, and we'll have to do it again sometime.